is outstanding. He worked with me on some of the parts, on some of the drum parts on that, just because the strings were going to be doing these staccato parts, so the drums would have to follow, otherwise there'd be a conflict at certain parts in the arrangement.
And the final resolve to me is the classic guitar solo, one of the greatest guitar solos that's ever been heard on a pop song. We hear that twice, and then the track settles down at the end with a lovely timp roll. Great drumming all the way through, as there always was on Bowie's tracks.
Rick Wakeman played keyboards on the album. He just blew us away with his technique. We hadn't really seen a pianist play like that. And he was able to put so much technique in without it being, you know, it wasn't just technique, it was feel.
Considering how strongly Rick Wakeman's piano is featured in the whole album, one would have to say that it's very, very important. One could argue, of course, that Bowie's songs were strong enough anyway, but the piano, the underlying piano parts were very, very important.
He was originally going to be one of the Spiders. Bowie had asked him to join the band, and I think he would have been great. I think he would have fitted in perfectly, but unfortunately Yes came along with a lot of money. And he went off with Yes.
Rick Wakeman's piano playing is one of the key sonic elements of Hunky Dory. He plays in this kind of unique style. He's never over histrionic, which is interesting considering what he went on to do, which was to be a founding member of Yes, one of the most over-the-top histrionic bands in the history of rock and roll.
He'd sit down and Bowie, if it was the piano, he'd sit down and play the piano, and Rick would just maybe sit at the other end and learn the chords, and then of course Rick could then elaborate on it amazingly, a lot more than David was playing, you know, and be like free to do what he wanted.
Rick Wakeman was someone whom Bowie had worked with earlier on. He's on Space Oddity, for instance. He came into the Bowie era and Hunky Dory with a tremendous flurry and flourish of piano playing. It was very much cabaret, music hall. It was not rock and roll. It was certainly not the prog rock for which Wakeman was to become known with Yes. He's known these days as the prog rock king. But it was very flamboyant, and he actually accentuated a lot of what Bowie was doing.
Rick Wakeman has a very individual style, semi-classical style of playing piano.
He had the nous and the understanding to say, right, what I need to do is play piano in this style. I need to actually bring in something that opens up the song. And a lot of the songs on that album, Wakeman opens up. And it's because of the way he plays. And it's fantastic flourishes on the record. You can't actually imagine anybody else coming in and doing something similar, except maybe Elton John at that time.
He really gave it a classical pianist's approach, and brilliant playing. It was just, when he did the piano runs, it was just awesome. We were just like mouths open.
Ronson's guitar actually took a bit of a back seat to the piano parts, but yeah, Life on Mars, absolutely unbelievable. The 8-line poem, absolutely unbelievable. Very important piano parts, and I think he didn't get the credit that he deserves from the media for just how important he was to that album.
He was inspiring to watch play keyboards. I mean, he's just, to me, he always has been one of the greatest keyboard players around. and in his style and everything, the way he plays.
He had everything: feel, technique, and good fun. You know, he had the technique of a classical pianist without being stuffy. He was able to be part of the unit, you know, while he was playing with us, which was good. Funny guy as well.
Watching the cruisers below.
Queen Bitch is one of Bowie's most exciting, exhilarating, sexy songs. He notes on the album, "Some VU white light returned with thanks." This is a tribute to the Velvet Underground, and it is the most exciting couple of minutes. It's just exhilarating.
Can't see her letting him go. Walk out of her heart, walk out of her mind. No, 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 she's so swissy in her satin and tie, in her frock coat and bibbidi-bobbidi hat. Oh, but I could do better than that.
Queen Bitch, why does it work in musical terms? Well, to put it quite simply, it's simple. It's just a basic guitar track in C. In fact, I don't think there are any keyboards on it. It's just those strong guitars all the way through.
Queen Bitch is a virile, vicious song that still stands out as one of Bowie's best today. Incredible.
It's an open homage to Velvet Underground. I think I read somewhere Bowie did acknowledge that he wrote this song as a tribute to Velvet Underground, and it's like a precursor to Suffragette City later on.
That song actually was given to the band by Bowie about 6 months before I ever met Bowie. He sent a song down because Mick had rung him up and said, well, because the band was doing an album for Polydor and we needed a single, and Bowie sent that song down, and we actually learnt that song 6 months before we ever played it on Hunky Dory, and we used to have it in the set.
Mick and I went back to the north of England and put another band together, and we were out playing the northern clubs and like Liverpool Cavern and places like that.
It just works. It's the punky, riffy guitar, and I think that in the middle of a lot of the complicated stuff that Bowie had done, with the complicated keyboards and interesting, you know, strange discords, this works so well because it is a punky, basic guitar song.
The atmosphere we were going for was like an English musical Velvet Underground approach. It wasn't sort of all hell let loose. It was a streamlined approach to it, but we still wanted to get that same atmosphere that you were in New York City and part of the happening scene and the whole thing, and I think we did.
If you talk to a lot of modern young guitar players, they're actually quite influenced by it. It's had a profound effect on some of the new genre of guitar bands that are around. And in fact, probably if you re-released it, it'd be a hit all over again, because it's surprising how much is owed by some of the newer guitar bands to that particular track.
The Old Grey Whistle Test performance of Queen Bitch is an excellent example of how well the band could work in its kind of stripped down capacity. You've only got acoustic guitar and electric guitar, but as usual, Trevor Boulder really holds it together well, and Woodmansey's drumming is as usual, very out of the top drawer.
Hunky Dory is such an odd album because it's out of time.